Welcome to the TGF Poker Fast and Furious Challenge. Let's meet our runners and riders. In seat 1, Mick Chivers. He's 43 from Romford in Essex. Next to him in 2, Rumit Samaya, the pro from Leicester. He is by far the most experienced man at this table. In seat 3, John Huckle. He's from Kent. He's an aggressive player and no stranger to a final table. And finally, in seat 4, we have Mark Robinson, who's only been playing for a year. Roy the Boy Brindley, is he going to get eaten alive tonight?
Well, Grub, let me tell you, this is fast, furious and fun. And that means we are going to see plenty of action today. And I don't think this player in seat 4, Mark Robinson, will be handicapped too much by his relative inexperience. And of course there in seat number 2 is the favourite, Rumit Samaya, 34 years of age, a familiar and popular face on the poker circuit. Without doubt, he would have the most experience at this table.
Tonight we're playing No Limit Texas Hold'em. Each player starts by being dealt 2 hole cards which only they can see, after which there's a round of betting. As the game progresses, 5 more cards will be dealt into the middle of the bays, which every player can use in combination with their hole cards to make the best possible poker hand. But of course, the rounds of betting are crucial. Put enough chips in the middle and you can scare off your opponents, no matter how good or bad your cards are. The rules of the Fast and Furious Challenge are simple. There are 4 players at the table. Each player has a maximum of 30 seconds to act, or their hand will be declared dead by the tournament director. The winner of each heat will progress to the final table. Cards about to be launched into the air. The blinds starting out at 50 and 100. Our players have a chip stack of 6,000 to start with. Roy, how's this going to kick off?
Well, it's hard to say. Some players might think this is fast and furious and let's get busy early. Some might think we'll sit back and wait for some players to be eliminated. But straight off, under the gun, John Huckle takes off with his ace-10.
And another suited ace for our relative beginner, Mark Robinson. We could have fireworks straight away.
Well, an ace-high flop would be fun.
Pass.
Rumit not getting involved with that queen rag, so it will be the aces going to war. And John Huckle very much in front at the moment. Well, Roy, there is that ace.
Well, I suspect we could be seeing a player go home right now.
500.
500.
They both have a pair of aces. One has an ace with a straight draw. That's, of course, Mark Robinson.
Raise to 2,000. You need to put another 2.
And he has raised it.
1,500 to call.
John Huckle, 26 seconds to consider if his pair of aces with a 10 kicker is good. It is.
That is the pressure of the Fast and Furious Challenge.
Pass.
Pass.
And he's laid it down. Well, first blood to the beginner, Roy.
No one wants to go home first today. He's left scratching his head. What on earth did you have? You could have considered if you had an ace with a better kicker, you would have re-raised pre-flop. But as it was, an ace with a straight draw did the business.
At least to get to see what it was on TV.
The button is on John Huckle.
Rumit Samaya first to act. Yet to play a hand, yet to find a playable hand.
Pass.
Well, a lot of players might have got involved with that connected hand.
225.
To 225 total.
Wow, so much for John Huckle going back in his shell.
Yep.
175
He is out of it.
to call.
But he's going to find company, I believe, from Mark Robinson. In fact, over the top here, Roy.
I would imagine so, bearing in mind he re-raised with the ace-4 earlier on.
He only has 30
Re-raise
seconds, of
to
course, to make his
1,050.
move. That is the Fast and Furious format. He didn't need that long, and with ace-queen, it wasn't that surprising. He's asking the question,
Pass.
Roy. Now,
John Huckle is going to start to wonder, is this something personal?
Yeah. Can Huckle keep laying down cards?
Pass.
Well, he raises, and then he folds to a re-raise.
I wonder if Mark Robinson should have possibly showed that ace-queen there, just to earn a bit of respect. Give the table some idea or some illusion that he's a tight player that only plays those kind of monstrous hands.
Okay, the small blind to 50 there. Look.
Let's get him the first one on the outside again, shall we?
Yeah.
John Huckle this time will be first to act. We already know he's sick of the sight of Mark Robinson. He doesn't want to
Pass.
risk it with the computer hand, Queen 7.
Interesting to see Mark Robinson pick up his cards there. Didn't
Pass.
peek at them coyly like professional players do. He picked them up from the table and held them to his face. That is a trait of an inexperienced player.
Well, Rumit has got a hand he might consider playing.
3 more.
Raise,
He is
300 more, 4
bumping it
total.
up.
Called.
An immediate call from Mick Chivers.
Not much of a raise grub, just 300 more.
Well, he's feeling his way into this, but he is roughly 2-1 favourite.
And Rumit is experienced enough to know he needs to see this through. He needs to follow through. He was the aggressor. He raised pre-flop. But Mick Chivers, 2 overcards to the flop and a gut shot straight draw.
400.
And just a call.
That's a 400 bet by Rumit there, but it's into an 800 pot. It wasn't much of a bet there.
No, as continuation bets go, that was relatively modest. Does Chivers like his draw? He
Pass.
doesn't. Well, Rumit Samaya isn't going to win them all, but he's won everyone he's played so far, Roy. Rumit this time will be first to act.
The man on the end is.
Pass.
He doesn't like his Dolly Parton hand, the 9 to 5.
For a laugh. Yeah, I know.
Call.
John Huckle elects just to call this time. He's tried to raise with a button in the past. It didn't
Call.
work. Now he's obviously changed his plan. He wants to see
No
some
raise.
flops.
Well, once again, he is behind Mark Robinson, who's very quickly turning into his nemesis.
And this is what we predicted. We're seeing plenty of flops in the early stages.
Well,
Well, John Huckle's going to love that because he has an open-ended straight draw and an overcard to the board.
300.
there's a little bit
300.
for everybody there.
There is indeed. Everyone has at least a pair.
So finally, we could see something sailing down the river. And this could get expensive. They've all got nice potential.
Well, I was saying everyone has at least a pair. John Huckle hasn't, but he's got a lovely draw. A 7 or a queen will just slot in nicely. And possibly I think a
Pass.
jack's good as well.
Well, very tight fold there from Mick Chivers.
Raise.
1,000 total.
700 more, 1,000 total.
I believe John Huckle is doing what he should do with a draw. He is re-raising.
Yep.
It's not a made hand. You don't draw in Hold'em. You play aggressive, powerful poker with it, and this is what he's done. I like the bet from Mark Robinson. He's flopped a pair. He's come out firing to find out if it's good. Now he's been answered.
The clock ticking down. 8
seconds.
seconds. The pressure really will begin to tell. Tournament
Pass.
director turns the screw and he folds.
Shouldn't let go for 3
Good
seconds.
bet
then
with
you could have
that.
on your hands down and it would
Just
been-
really an open-ended
I
draw.
like the play though, I really do. I think Mark did nothing wrong coming out betting when he's flopped a pair, and John Huckle only had a draw. It was a big draw, but not a spot to call in. A spot to be aggressive in. He did that successfully. I like that hand.
Played 20
Nice pot, sir.
past one, yeah.
Started playing online probably about 5 years ago now. Saw a program, late night poker on TV, and really liked the look of the game. Watched it for a while, and then signed up to a site, started playing free, and progressed into playing for money. Winning seats at World Series Poker was a really great achievement because I hadn't been playing very long when I did that. But online, I've won a few decent tournaments, but nothing huge yet. Still waiting for the big one. I'm quite fast thinking, so it should suit me because I can calculate the odds quite quickly, and that's what you really need. You've got to act fast and be aggressive.
Action now on John Huckle. He's a printer
Pass.
from Dartford in Kent. Obviously didn't like the tickets he was printed there.
Call. Call.
Mark Robinson just limps in, trying to play the 2 cards in his hand, trying to see a
No
cheap
raise.
flop.
Well, this one is going to be cheap. Let's see our first 3 cards in the flop. 4, 2 and a lady. Absolutely nothing.
Check.
I'm
Check.
surprised Rumit didn't bet that, seeing how timid
Check.
this table's been.
Well, it's not so bad trying to bluff your way past one player. Past 2 is always a bit dodgy.
Well, again, nobody
Check.
even has a diamond.
You would have to guess the first person to sneeze at this pot will win it.
Yep.
I'll check.
Check.
200.
200.
He's got some bet in this, Mark Robinson. You know, he's been laying down to re-raise this, but he's not been afraid to bet, and I like that.
7.
Raised. 500 more, 7 total.
Well, this is the second time recently we've seen Mark Robinson raised by a player holding absolutely nothing.
He can't call this, can he?
So, again, this was a great raise by a player, this time Rumit Samoya.
Yeah, Rumit reading him. He knew he was on the come,
Pass.
and as predicted, the chips
Oh, no, he's
will
going to bet.
tilt
So-
towards our professional
We're
player.
starting to conclude that Mark Robinson lacks nothing in bravery, but he will lay down in the face of a raise.
Yeah, and the other players will be filing this information away, won't they, Roy?
I've been playing tournament poker for about 16 years and probably 20 years. I just went to my local casino and I just saw an advert for a small tournament, £5 buy-in, and I just sat down and played and I was hooked. You know, the fascination of winning a big tournament and beating all the players, it's a challenge, you know, I rise to it. I've played one live speed poker tournament before, and obviously I play a lot on the internet, so a lot of that is speed poker anyway, so I'm fairly used to making quick decisions. TV has not been very kind to me in terms of wins, but I've had plenty of appearances. But, you know, I'll get there, I'm very confident.
John Huckle will have the first decision to make. Patiently waiting for his cards to appear. Let's see his poker face,
Who does he
Roy.
play?
Well, if he's smiling,
Raise.
Raise.
giving it away, because that is, by the standards of this game,
700.
four-handed,
7 to
ace-10,
play.
a very powerful
Pass.
hand, Roy.
6
He's
more.
raised up to 700,
Pass
just
and 5
more than
more.
trebled the big blind.
Well, he may not get any customers. Unless, well, Rumit
Call.
fancies having a peep at this with a suited king-6.
Rumit will
important.
be the first to act, and if he
5,
misses, he might
7
elect to take
and
a stab.
deny.
And he could
Let's
with
do a
that
check
because
or
he has
bet.
an
Check.
overcard to that board and a gut shot for a straight.
And check.
But he's got a free card for himself. 8 would do nicely.
4. Check
Now
or
he
bet.
has an open-ended straight grub, a 3 or an 8.
5.
Raise.
Raise.
Huckle not messing around anymore.
£11.50 total.
It's a big bet.
5 is
This is
750 more.
if John Huckle was expecting Rumit to bet at it. And he's raised with an ace high. It's a great raise. But Rumit still might think that a king could be good, a 3 is definitely good, and an 8 is probably
650
good.
more.
Looks as though he's going to call.
It's a big pot. It's the biggest pot you've had so far.
Yeah. The price of poker just gone up, though, for Rumit Samoya. Does he call? Does he raise? He does call.
Call.
We're going to see a river card.
Well, if Rumit misses here, he's going to have to
As
bet.
card. King.
Wow, what a card for
That's
him.
you. Check or bet.
Now, how is
Check.
Rumit going to pass to a bet? John Huckle now thinks, I've got to bet. I've only got ace high, and he's going to get called surely.
Yeah, it would have been hard for him to put Rumit on a king there. So maybe Huckle will think, I've got to pull the trigger again.
He has.
12.
What a fantastic hand this is. And Rumit, surely he can't pass. He called looking for one of 2 cards to make the straight, but he must have thought a king was good as well.
Yeah. Re-raise here, Roy?
No, oh, absolutely not. It'll be just a
I
call.
think I've hit the front on the river, John.
There you go, he said it. I think I've hit the front on the river.
Cool.
It's a call.
And the truth was,
Cards, please.
John Huckle never, from start to finish, had better than an ace high. And at the end, he had to bet it in a vain attempt, but as it was,
Okay.
Rumit had
Yeah.
caught up with that king.
Rumit said he got a front on the river. Who needs commentators? He was right. Well, there is the story of that hand. John Huckle was never behind until the final card. Well, it's called the river because you can drown in it. Roy, do you think that Rumit was taking a bit of a risk staying in that hand?
Well, you know, as I said there in commentary, if Rumit had not have connected on the end with the king or with the 3 or with the 8, he would have been forced to bet. But it was a role reversal. He made the king, he made the bigger pair, and then John Huckle was the guy with no hand, which had to represent in an attempt to take the pot down. Great hand, biggest pot we've seen so far. But it does go to show you this game is all about betting.
For you, you're in poker heaven.
Well, John Huckle is the guy which has had the bad day at the office.
Your
He's given his
two,
chips
please.
to everybody. And indeed, Rumit has a fair share of them. Of course, there's the grey chips you want, 500 apiece.
200 to play.
Raise.
Well, our short stack decides this is the moment.
7
Suited
total.
Queen 10.
Pass.
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 Is he going to get company from Rumit?
You know, I think if I was John Huckle, I would just move all in or pass because he's that short stacked. If someone re-raises, he can't pass. So
Yep.
really, really turn the screw. And this is what he's done by simply raising and not moving all in. He's going to encourage a call from Rumit here.
All in. 11.
And we have
Races in front.
25.
an all-in player now. It's happened.
Really, why didn't John Huckle move all in pre-flop? Because Rumit
19.
then would have had a bigger decision. As it is, John Huckle's got himself in a spot and he's a 40% underdog.
And it's a flop. Jack, ace, ace. Immediately, Rumit's in front.
There's the turn, changes nothing, the 8.
The clubs have gone now. It has to be a king or a queen.
Something like 13%. It's a 6.
Well, unlucky 13 there for John Huckle, the man from Dartford. He's in the tunnel now.
And that's poker, unfortunately. You try and play a good game, try and play aggressively. I made a couple of bets on pots where I didn't have very much or little at all. So I was quite pleased with the way I played. It's just, unfortunately, sometimes you make a move at a particular time, they pass, other times they call and you lose. That's all part of the game.
We are down to just 3 players at the TGF Poker Fast and Furious Challenge. The pressure is on, but is it on for Rumit? Roy, he's got more than half the chips at the table.
He has indeed, just 24 hands played, 1 player gone. We're only on the 2nd level of blinds, but at the end of the day, things can change and change very quickly in this game. And as the blinds go big, a lot will depend on who picks up the big hands at the right time. This is not all over yet by a long shot.
200 to play.
Michael Chivers with the button and the action. He has got ace-jack off. Is Rumit going to get fancy with
14
his
total.
6-2?
Well, he may suspect that it's a button raise and that he's being robbed, but at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to go anywhere but a 2-6.
14 total.
You can cast out a re-raise with a 10-jack suited or something, but not with a 2-6.
Yeah,
Pass.
2-6. You might play it heads up, but
And pass.
with still 3 players there, neither he nor Mark Robinson wanted to get involved.
And one of the key factors of this now is every other hand you are on a blind, 2 hands out of 3, you are involved in a pot voluntarily or not. And this is why you'll see a lot of action.
Cards spinning around the bays, and it is freshman Mark Robinson,
200 to play.
13 months to poker player, and making a pretty good showing at this table, but he
Pass.
doesn't like his suited jack, and very
Raise.
wisely, because
Small one.
Keep him in.
Nick Chivers has got bigger hearts.
4's good, yeah?
Yeah.
Go on then.
4 more.
He wants to keep me in, I'll stay in.
Oh,
Cool.
Rumit's in a bad spot here.
Well, he has said, I'll keep him in. And we're going to see a flop. Rumit is going to
Ace,
want to see
2
a 4
and a
or
6.
black cards. He's
Check. And check.
Checked and checked, both players have missed. First to bet situation again.
6.
6 changes nothing. Both players will recognise that.
7.
7.
Is that going to be big enough to get rid of Rumit? He will be smelling, if not a rat, then at least a small hamster.
Go on, give it in.
But he decides
Pass.
that discretion is the better part of valour. Gets out of the way.
Yeah, I don't know much about the players. I'm going to go out there and just hopefully, you know, first half hour, take it steady. Don't want to be the first man out. I want to be the last man standing. I never played on TV. A couple of times I just made it to the poker den, the last couple of people to get into the poker den final, but missed out a couple of times. Mike McGee outdrew me once. Basically, that's how I lose. They outdraw me. I think that's the difference. They get lucky.
Well, the button and the action will be with Rumit, who is performing like a steamroller here. He really is crushing them, isn't he, Roy?
Well, same situation again. Has button, has position, has the chips, automatic raise.
Well, some very
Let's try this.
similar looking cards,
Cool.
but just a flat call.
100 more.
Cool.
Quite
Cool.
strange.
Any
Well,
raise.
he'll welcome the call from the 7-6.
7 more.
7 more.
I like that raise, Roy. He's seen weakness from the other players.
That was a quality play.
Yeah, he knows there's some caution out there, but Rumit, of course, can
Call.
afford to have a look with connected cards. I doubt Mark Robinson will do the same, and he has got out of the way.
It's great. A race pot, 2 players, and between them they have a 9 high. It's the best of it.
3.
Oh,
8,
wow.
6.
Well, top
Check all
pair
bet.
there for Rumit.
Same 7.
7.
Oh, and a big...
Well, let's not forget, Mick Chivers' raise pre-flop indicated strength.
Right.
And raise.
Rumit's in a situation, he's
15.
flopped top pair, but at the end of the day, he doesn't know if it's good, so he's raised to find out now.
Yeah,
If he was answered back again here, he would pass, but I don't think Mick Chivers can afford a re-raise with a 9 high.
How much more you got there?
How much more have I got? More than you.
I pass.
Pass.
Well, Mick Chivers has got some moxie, asking questions. How much have you got left, son? As if Rumit was sitting there with about 3 chips.
Storage once.
But once again, it is Sumaya who is smiling. You see in the
200 to
background the 30-second clock. That starts ticking immediately, and it's going to be Mark Robinson
I raised the 5.
with the button, and he
5
raises.
total.
Queen 8 suited.
Not much of a raise, Grub, just up to 500.
He's asking for a call.
Okay.
Cool.
He has got one from Rumit Sumaya. And Rumit giving him the stare now.
Looking supremely confident, isn't he?
Yeah.
Queen 9, 6.
Well, that didn't
Once a
work out
check.
well for the King 10, but Rumit's got enough of this, you know. He's got a jack for a straight or a king for a big pair.
Yeah.
And we could see
Check.
some chips changing direction here.
And a check there from
3.
Mark, allowing him to see
Triple
that
bet.
chance card. But with top pair, surely he has to bet.
5.
Is he slow playing the master here?
Well, it's Rumit first to act.
Rumit's stuck in a bet of 5. Now, is it going to be over the top from Mark
Raise the 15.
Robinson? It is.
1,000 more.
Now, we've seen Rumit call a raise in this situation before, haven't we?
Now, Mark definitely slowed down in this hand. Rumit may be picking up on that.
It's a nice bet. I don't see how the three's helped you.
Down
He's
to
running
the
out of
last-
time.
Yeah, the last few seconds. I think he's going to fold. I think he's seen something sly there in Mark Robinson.
The hand is dead.
Hand is dead, says tournament director Max Manson. And Rumit Sumaya there, forced to fold. It was the right decision in the end.
2 to play.
The button is on Rumit now, Roy. This is all about aggression, isn't it? You're having to play a lot of hands. You can't wait
7
for aces
total.
here.
Well, he's just bumping in raises like the Duracell bunny bangs his drum.
Well, we say you can't wait for aces. Mark Robinson
Cool.
has the
Call.
big slick.
Well, I
Five
like
more.
he's just called. He's mixing this up somewhat. He's disguising a very big hand here. But at the end of the day, it won't be that big if he doesn't find an ace or a king on the flop.
He has changed gear, you're right.
King,
Well, he's found a
9,
king.
Jack.
This
Check
is
or bet.
great news for Mark Robinson.
Rumit has found a jack and
Check.
will think...
He set a trap. Look, Mark Robinson has checked this.
11.
In a million years, will never ever suspect Mark Robinson is so strong.
Well, will Mark decide to come over the top now, or will he want to see one more card?
I think he's going to play. I think he's just going to call as he try and make this as worthwhile as possible.
$11 and raise 13.
Well, that was a Lord Olivier performance there from Mark Robinson.
It's not a massive raise grub, you know. Rumit might be tempted to call this.
Pressure now on our chip leader, Rumit. Just 10 seconds or so. It's a big pot. 5,000 chips. That would make a hole in Rumit's lead.
This is a pot for Rumit to lose and lose only. Oh, wow.
Pass.
Took the full 30 seconds to make the right and correct pass. And that's a
last
second
time I
step
think
forward
you're
now
really
from the professional from Leicester.
So be warned.
Re-raise. You said I didn't like re-raise earlier.
Yeah.
You don't like it either.
Now next time it's all in.
That's good.
3 men left at the table, but who are the 2 stooges? It is Mark Robinson to act first. Well, he can't like that, Roy. One of the worst starting hands in Hold'em.
Call.
But this is so bizarre. He's just calling. I mean, listen, he's on the button and he's short stacked. It's a spot to raise him, but to just call is a bit bizarre.
Call.
Call.
He has run into an ogre.
Let's see a flop.
Well, this is great. We've got 3-way action now. No player has a pair. King high is winning. A lot of hearts would be fun, wouldn't it?
Michael Chivers, though, short stacked with a suited king-queen, didn't raise, Roy.
Wow, what's Robinson doing? Limping in with a 3-7. All is strange and Dutch to me.
But
Check.
it is Rumit who has
Check.
hit middle pair.
Yeah, but
Check.
who's got top pair?
Chivers is with that queen, still doesn't want to bet. Well, he's going to have to bet now. That ace is frightening.
Check.
Just checking again. He's
Check.
asking to be raised off it.
Well, this here, Mark Robinson's a guy that could have a disguised ace. Bearing in mind he limped in on the button, but it's like he wants to muster a bet. Look at him, but he just can't get himself to do it.
I think if he had more chips, he would have had a pop at that. So Chivers can only lose if he folds.
Mick Chivers,
800.
big pair, big kicker. Rumit Samoya, medium pair, no kicker.
Pass.
Passes up, and Mark Robinson, no hand at
Pass.
all. Well, we could have got that one done and finished pre-flop. We could have got it done and finished on the flop as it was. They checked it all the way down to the end. Quite simply, the best hand won.
Mick Chivers is on the button.
Call.
He's
Raise.
been waiting for a big hand here. It is.
Need to put
He's got the
200.
ladies.
The actual big blind is 4.
And once again, that could look like
1600 more.
a rob,
2000
a steal,
total.
a positional raise. He's simply raising because he's on the button.
Pass.
If anyone wakes up, Rumit hasn't, Mark has, wakes up with a hand. We could see some tears, and this could be bedtime.
We have seen Mark fold King 10 offsuit before, but he does not have a huge stack of
Pass.
chips.
Wow.
100
That
change
is
given.
tight as a drum.
Look at the face
What's going
on
on
Mick Chivers. Absolute dismay.
Have a look.
Okay, turn them over.
This is what I'm raising with. No
Oh.
king. There's no king
Pair of
sixes in
queens
my
just
hand.
raised.
It's all
I didn't
proper
raise
card.
with King 6, I called.
We called a raise.
So that's different.
Yeah, it's worse.
Mick Chivers shows the queens.
worse.
Rumit is not dismayed at all. Mark Robinson will be patting himself on the back. What a good pass I made with the King 10.
Blinds still at 2 and 400. And it is our short stack Mick Chivers who has the button. He will be first to act.
60-player freeze outs have been over quicker than this.
Well, he seems to be having a good night. The same cannot be said for his chip stack at the moment.
Pass.
And those starting cards not good enough for the man from Romford.
He needs to get busy. Those are the spots he should be raising up with. He cannot sit back and wait for cards, and he must
Raised
use his
to
button.
1200 total.
And good aggression there from Rumit. Mark Robinson, well, he has an overcard to Rumit's Jack 5. But
We raised all in.
Pump it or dump it, and he's decided to pump it in the best possible way. Great play by Mark Robinson. This one's over.
Rumit giving him the beady stare.
4,400 more.
He will use all the time he's got to consider this all in bet.
I won't let you sweat for 30 seconds.
Pass.
Thanks.
And he has folded those like an origami expert. Good move there from Mark Robinson.
He's showing some aggression, isn't he? I like that. I've got to say,
I will not be bullied.
Mick Chivers has become a bit disappointing, but this guy really has picked the pace up.
I don't consider myself a great player yet. Still fairly green, but getting there slowly. Obviously, it's only a part-time thing at the moment, poker. I still need to go to work, I still need to earn a living, but it will be progress. It will be 13 months of play, and I've made some progress. It will either be a very early night for me, or I'll stay at a distance.
Rumit Samaya we can see way out in front, but it is the beginner, Mark Robinson, who is chipping away at him here, Roy.
Well, he deserves to be in second spot. Without doubt, Mick Chivers is becoming a little disappointing. He's short stacked. He's involved in 2 hands out of 3. He needs to get busy. We've seen him pass up on the button a few occasions now. That is not what is required. Quite simply, Rumit is on autopilot at the moment, but planes on autopilot can crash themselves.
Button now on Mark Robinson. He comes from Bedfont and lives next to the runway at Heathrow Airport, he says. Might be a bit quiet for him around this table.
Pass. Call.
Flat call.
Go on then.
Just a limp in
No
here for Mick
raise.
Chivers. We will see a flop. Small blind on big. The 2-4. Monstrous stuff. And the 6-8.
Yep, nothing too scary here. Oh, but they have both got a piece of that flop.
Check.
Check.
Oh, this is an interesting
1,000.
scenario because Mick Chivers there
Raised. All in.
has moved all in with a
2,000
pair of
total.
2s and a 4 high flush draw.
Call.
But mathematically, he is favourite. It's
Yep.
an all in and call.
Top pair, it's very much a coin toss. If Rumit can avoid a heart, a 2 or a 4, he will win this and knock Mick Chivers out. 2 cards to come.
Mick Chivers is not in a too bad a spot here. 51% chance of getting the 6,800 pot.
Worth it. It is a 2. He's got trip 2s.
Fantastic news for him. 95% is his favouritism. Wants to avoid an 8.
Can he do it?
8s and 6s is no good. 3 2s takes down a big pot for Michael Chivers. And a step backwards for our chip leader.
Well, Mick Chivers waited a long time to find a hand, and who knew it would be 2-4? One of the lowliest starting hands you can have. But he made his flush on the river, and that saw off Rumit's 2 pairs. Nervous moments there, Roy.
Yeah, indeed. He did have 3 2s on the turn, but as you say, he flushed up on the end. It was a heart to finish off, and what was good got better. Well, we were almost down to 2, but the balance of power has been readdressed. Rumit remains chip leader, but Michael Chivers moves into 2nd spot and is dangerous now with 6,800 in chips. Just needs to find some aggression.
Yeah, well, he's got genuine
Raise.
cards this time. A suited ace-6.
1,200 more. 16 total. Pass.
Rumit doesn't want anything, but Mark Robinson has got king-queen. Our 2 short stacks could be about to go to war.
Is it a call or is it a raise all in? The clock is ticking.
Oh, cool.
Call.
Just a call. He's going to see a flop. What will these 3 cards bring? An ace and a king would be pretty nightmarish.
Oh, this is interesting because they have both missed, and now it is first to bet wins if the bet size is right. 29 seconds to
Check.
make a bet. He's elected to check. He's given up the advantage to Mick Chivers, who will see through his raise.
It was
1,600.
a very quick reach from Chivers. The continuation bet straight in the middle. And now, what can Robinson do? This is where the 30-second clock really begins to hurt. He'd love to ponder this, but he's down to about 5 seconds.
He can only now declare all in or pass.
And Mick Chivers makes another march in the right direction, and Mark Robinson suddenly dwelling in the cellar. The button is on our chip leader, Rumit Somaya.
Pass.
He passes, and Mark Robinson, who has bet himself into trouble,
Call.
calls with a jack-4.
Okay.
No raise.
No worries.
And Mick Chivers says, peel him off, we'll see a flop.
Well, he must be quite happy seeing a flop with a Queen 9 suited and a 3-handed game when the blinds are big enough.
Well, what a flop there. Middle pair for Mark Robinson. A straight draw for Mick Chivers.
An 8 or a king to make that straight.
He has 8 cards to make the straight.
It's only a 600 bet. What a tiny bet.
It was too small from Robinson. Maybe his inexperience beginning to show. It'll depend on this turn card.
Mick Chivers getting a cheap card. Changes nothing. Now this pot was not raised pre-flop, so neither player will probably take their opponent for an ace.
1500.
1500.
Now that's a bigger bet. That's more like it. I think Mark Robinson is quite confident his jack is good now.
If Chivers comes over the top, well, you've got to fancy that Mark is committed.
He's asking for a count, but he's running out of time.
10 seconds to run.
2500.
8 seconds.
4 total.
Is he going to pull the trigger?
He's going to time out.
Hand's dead.
And the clock has beaten him. It's a brutal countdown, but it's worked out well for beginner Mark Robinson. Nervous moments though, Roy.
Well, it wasn't raised pre-flop. He didn't take his opponent for an ace. When a second ace appeared on the board, he decided his jacks were good, and that's when he fired the bigger bet.
Well, Rumit was our runaway leader, but as we can see, the short stack's beginning to eat into his lead. He's down to an even 10,000. And Roy, what's he going to need to do now to kill these guys off?
Well, he wants to maintain his chip lead. He wants to be the table captain. But he wants to see one of these two guys, or both of these two guys, go at it together to find himself in a heads-up situation with a very workable stack. But until then, I think he's just going to keep applying the gas at the right time, using the button well. As long as he just stays chip leader, I think he'll be very happy.
Mick Chivers, well, he was all in. He got out of jail with a 2-4. He's going to have the button this time, so he will be making the first decision. He's been a little bit gun-shy tonight, Roy.
Well, quite bizarre. He got all his chips from a 2-4. Those are the kind of hands he likes, but he does tend to raise up.
Raise.
Raise.
Yeah, there's
Just a little bit too much sometimes.
no great subtlety
1600
with
more,
the
2000
ace-queen, but
total.
Rumit
Raised
out
up.
of the way.
Sorry, Grub, he's raised up. Oh, action hand. He's raised up 16 there. The blinds are 2-4. You would expect it a 1200 raise, but as it is, I think the money could go in at pre-flop.
Yeah, this is a classic Hold'em situation. An underpair against 2 overcards. What's Mark going to do?
We raised all in.
I'll call.
And a
there
call.
it is, an all-in, an immediate call. We are off to the races.
Well, the pair of sevens will be favourites.
50-50.
There's not a lot in this.
Well, I'll take the pair every time
Okay,
at
we've got an all in and a
55%.
call.
Yeah.
And of course, Michael has more chips in this situation,
Yeah,
so he cannot be eliminated.
Mark Robinson's tournament at stake. Well, he's going to love that. The sevens now further in front. He just has to avoid a queen or an ace. That, again, is good news. 2 pairs for our short stack. And Mick Chivers really needs help or he is going to be crippled. The river
No help.
no good for Chivers.
Well, the
And that-
hand kind of played itself, Grub, to be fair, with the blinds this big. 3-handed monstrous ace-queen against a made hand, a pair of sevens. Worked for itself. This guy, Mick Chivers, down to the absolute foul. Does not look very well at all, does he? Looks sick as the proverbial parrot. And there's a wry smile on Mark
6-6.
Robinson's face.
Okay, and that's yours back.
Thank you.
Mark Robinson,
Okay.
now the chip leader at our table.
6 to play.
The button is on our chip leader.
I'll make it 12.
He's reaching for
12
chips.
total.
He's made it 12 and he's got
All in.
another monster. He's got an all-in. Chivers utterly dominated.
Well, surely this time he's got Michael Chivers out the
16
door.
total.
It was the minimum raise. It was inviting a re-raise. It was a great size bet by him.
Rumit gets out of the way. Well,
Four.
Michael Chivers
Four.
has been bouncing back like an India rubber ball, but he is going to need every
And a
single
call.
bit of luck he can
Card,
muster.
please.
Because he has walked into the big slick and he may be about to
two,
slip
ace,
up on it.
Deuce required.
Mark Robinson's had a plethora of big hands since the blinds went 300, 600.
Well, Mick is smiling ruefully. What flop will
Jack. 5, 6.
Absolutely no help at all. We need the board to pair twice or a 2 to arrive. And that says it all. Just 12% chance for Mick Chivers to get out of this mess.
He's drawing pretty thin. The turn card.
6.
A 6. Well, a jack, a 5.
Or a 2.
And that is all she wrote for Mick Chivers. The man from Romford found an ace, moved all in. Well, he walked into another monster from Mark Robinson. He played pretty well, Roy, but just didn't get aggressive at the right time.
Never got going today, did he at all? He lacks a bit of experience, clearly. Did not use the button as he should, but at the end of the day, he never picked up a big hand at the right time.
Terrible cards. Terrible cards. Sat there for 2 hours and I see 3 decent hands. And out of them 3 hands, I've never got no one to play with me, so if you ain't got the cards, you can't win.
We are heads up at the TGF Poker Fast and Furious Challenge, and it's the Sorcerer against the Apprentice. Professional Rumit Samaya against Mark Robinson. He only picked up a deck of cards 13 months ago, and now he's got a chance of getting through to the final. Roy, has he got a big enough chip stack to negate Rumit's experience?
Absolutely. Well, you said yourself, Sorcerer, he has had that deck spellbound since the blinds went 300, 600. Everything has gone his way. Rumit sat there with 5,000 chips. Now, the blinds 3-6, your first raise should be up to 18. And after that, Rumit is committed. So much will depend on the next 3 or 4 hands. This could be game over within 5 hands.
Very sporting handshake there between our players.
Rumit, of course, representing IPN. Mark Robinson at Poker Heaven. He has been in heaven just recently. 58 hands played, and the last 8 or 10 have been very kind to him indeed.
Well, they say you have to die to go to heaven. And Rumit doesn't fancy committing Harry-Kiri with a queen rag. Now, Rumit plays a lot of TV poker. He's never won a heads-up confrontation with the cameras running. The button now on Rumit.
3 to play.
One of the unluckiest players. He's cursed on television. It's like the cast of Dad's Army. But he's going to like
4.
that. King 7 heads up. Very powerful, Roy.
I'll raise 1,000.
It's all about time in this game.
1,000.
I said
All
it was
in.
powerful. He's walked into a monster.
Job done. This is all in and called.
3-5
King
more.
7 against Ace 10. Rumit is going to need some luck here.
Yeah, he's not a massive underdog.
Wow, it's 2 to 1 against. 2 to 1 on favourite Mark Robinson. Will his good luck, good fortune continue? Will his best hand here hold up?
Well, nobody tipped him to start with. These 3 cards
8.
make all the difference. No help there for Rumit. And Mark Robinson stretches his lead.
Ace high remains good. 25% chance now for Rumit. 3 to 1 against.
4.
Changes nothing. Gives him some more outs. A 5 will do now as well.
A 5, a king, a 7. Rumit Samaya all in. Can this man beat him? He can.
8.
The ace plays and Rumit knocked out.
Thanks for that.
The
Rumit
professional.
Samaya, so dominant from the absolute outset, but when the blinds went 300, 600, like London buses, big hands turned up over and over again for Mark Robinson, who sealed the deal somewhat impressively.
Mark Robinson from Team Poker Heaven. He's the one going through to the final.
Oh, lovely.
Well, in poker terms, Mark Robinson may be still wet behind the ears, but he knows how to play ace 10 heads up. He got Rumit Samaya all in and won every chip on the table. He's through to the final. It's good for Team Poker Heaven. Fast and Furious is a team event. Let's see how things stand after Heat 1. Top of the tree, thanks to Mark Robinson, a Poker Heaven with 5 points. Rumit Samaya earned 3 points for IPM, and Mick Chivers 1 point for celebpoker.com. TGF Poker, they are yet to get off the mark.
Started off really well, and I was up to 14,000 in good shape, and I was feeling really confident about my game, and just hit a couple of hurdles and got knocked back, and unfortunately came second. So very disappointing again.
I'm very pleased indeed. It's my first television appearance today, and I'll be looking forward to the final. And God willing, I had the same sort of luck with the cards, so I'm hopeful.